we're live now.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I declare this meeting of the Morgan Spring Bay Council open at 2 p.m. on Tuesday, the 22nd of July, 2025.
The Morgan Spring Bay Council acknowledges the traditional owners of our region and recognises their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past and present.
Thank you. Agenda item 1.1 is attendance and apologies. Today we have Councillor Churchill, Councillor Young, Councillor Walker, Councillor Edwards, Councillor Gregson, Councillor McQueenie and Mayor Arnold in the chamber. The Deputy Mayor is an apology. Officers present today, the Acting General Manager, Mr. Peter Port, and Mr. James Bonner, who is Acting Planning and Development Director, and this is Jasmine Kerr, our Executive Officer. Agenda item 1.2 is late reports. General Manager, I don't believe there's any.
There are none, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Agenda item 1.3, declaration of interest in a matter of a councillor. The Mayor requests elected members to indicate whether they have any interest personally or via a close associate as defined in section 49 of the Local Government Act 1993, or any conflict as described in the Model Code of Conduct for councillors in any item included in the agenda. Councillor Gregson?
With regard to May Shaw.
I beg your pardon?
In relation to May Shaw, it's in here.
No, I'm asking for conflicts of interest, Councillor Gregson.
Yes, it's to do with the May Shaw. Yeah, where are we? May Shaw's accused. No. Or it's in the closed one, is it? No, it's not. It's not. All right, I'll withdraw that.
Thank you. So there are no conflicts, Councillor Churchill, are you?
I have an interest in 7.3.
7.3. Right. But I think under the Act, Councillor, this is only for noting.
Only for noting, correct.
It's only for noting, so,
Yes.
and it's the determination, so I think under the Act, I
Not
don't believe
relevant.
there's a conflict for either of us.
Okay, thank you.
Agenda item 2 is the confirmation of minutes, ordinary meeting of Council 24th of June 2025. There is a recommendation on page 6. Councillor Walker.
Thank you. I'll move that the minutes of the ordinary meeting of council held on the 24th of June 2025 at 2 p.m. be confirmed as a true and correct record.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Young, thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? It's carried unanimously. Thank you. Agenda item 2.2 is the date and purpose of workshops held. There is a recommendation on page 7. Councillor
Thank
Walker,
you.
thank
I'll
you.
move that council notes the information.
Seconder? Councillor Young, thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Agenda item 3.1 is public question time. I note that there is a question on notice from Mr. Wesley Button, and the Acting General Manager has responded in the agenda. General Manager, there's nothing further you wish to add to that?
Nothing further.
No. Thank you. Agenda item 3.2 is questions without notice. There are none. Financial reports. The recommendation is on page 11. Councillor Churchill.
I move that council receives and notes the financial reports as attached to this report for the period ended June 2025.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Gregson. Councillor Churchill, do you have any comment in relation to finances?
Everything appears to be in order. That I was not able to find any discrepancies, but I'd just like to note that is the final financial report for the last financial year, and in that context it is very meaningful, gives everyone a good idea of how our budget corresponded with the actual finances of council. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions in relation to finances? Nothing further. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Agenda item 6.6 is section 24 committees. There is a report from the Tribunal Recreational Ground Advisory Committee minutes on the 6th of February. Agenda item 6.1, there is a recommendation on. Councillor Young.
I move that the minutes of the Tribunal Recreation Ground Advisory Committee meeting held on 6 February be received and noted.
Seconder. Councillor Edwards. Do you wish to, any comment,
I
councillor?
have no comment to
comment?
make.
Any other comments? Councillor Gregson.
On page, through the minute, of course, the Councillor Young might be able to answer my question. Correspondence in, it's got here, open call version, Fair Dinkum builds, supply and erection of 4-bay shed. Is that without doors, is it? 4-bay shed? Just like that of.
What are you talking about, councillor?
Here, on page 12.
Yes.
It's got correspondence in, refers to a 4-bay shed. What is a 4-bay shed? Is it open shed?
It's a shed through you there.
Yes.
It's
Councillor
a
Edwards,
shed,
thank you.
shed and 4 bays and 4 roller doors on the front.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions? Any other comments?
Um,
Put the motion. Yeah, councillor.
Through you,
Edwards,
Mayor, I would just like to thank the council very much in their assistance in the removal of the tree and their assistance in the new entrance, which is all looks magnificent and has had a lot of very positive comments from the users of the rec ground. So, as you know, I'm not one to hand out compliments, but the staff the works crew did a fantastic job in helping and were very amenable and quick, and just you couldn't have got better.
Thank you. Councillor McLean.
Just quickly, it looks fantastic. I completely agree with Councillor Edwards. There was a question about disability access being wide enough. I'm just wondering if that was before the work was completed or if there's been some consideration to that since.
The manager might be able to answer that.
Through Madam Mayor, the entry to the facility has been significantly widened, so which is effectively about car access in and out. Work has been done on the car park to assist it to shed water. The levels to the building, which were already pretty good, I think it's almost flat to the access into the building, haven't really changed.
I understood it was the walk bit beside where the cars drive in.
Okay, certainly wider to
Right.
enable
Okay.
to enable.
Great, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Nothing further. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Agenda item 6.2 is the Springbank Elder Care Committee minutes of the 14th of July. There is a recommendation on page 15. Walker.
Thank you. I'll move that the minutes of the Spring Bay Elder Care Committee held on 14th of July 2025 be received and noted.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Young, thank you. Councillor Walker, do you wish to comment?
Oh, no, it's pretty much there. Other than to actually acknowledge that Dan Berman did come in and give us a verbal report on all things to do with the unit and the concerns that have been raised.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on this Springbank Elder Care? Nothing further. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Agenda item 7 is the information reports. 7.1, we have the acting general manager's report. Mr. Peter Porch. The recommendation is on page 18. Councillor Walker,
Thank you. I move that council notes the information.
is there a seconder? Councillor Edwards. Councillor Walker, do you have any questions? Comments?
One, with regards to the notification of dangerous, on page 16, sorry. Notification of dangerous trees, proposed removal at Swansea Jubilee Park. There has been a fair bit of commentary with regards to that. Where are we at with that, Mr. Paul?
So through Madam Mayor, there are a few little details we've got to sort out through our NRM staff resources. I do note that most unfortunately, there's a lot of chatter about the allude with the view being associated with the removal of the tree, I can say categorically the two are not in any way related. As a requirement, we inspect park trees and things like that, and as a part of that process, we've identified some issues with the tree. This is a follow-on from that process. It is, like as I say, it is in no way associated with the law.
One more question, if I may.
Yes,
There was
of course,
suggestion,
councillor Walker.
there was suggestion through you to Mr. Porch about a barrier to keep the tree, so the tree can stay, and keep a barrier around it so that people can't get near the tree. Where is that? Has that been considered, or?
Through you, Madam Mayor, it's a public park and access area there. The tree limbs need to be removed at the end of the day. So once you've removed the tree limbs, there's not a lot of tree left. It's the trunk. The suggestion that perhaps that could be left for habitat, that will be a consideration something that we consider. But once the tree limbs are removed, there wouldn't be a lot of point in barricading them off anyway, but the tree limbs are the problem.
If I may, further to that, I understand, with regards to tree removal and that can be quite emotive. However, I believe personally that our safety is far more important than anyone's safety, I should say, is far more important.
Councillor Churchill? Oh, sorry, councillor Walker, is that it, councillor Walker? Yes, thank you, councillor Churchill.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to follow on from what Councillor Walker's just said about that tree, the idea that we might be able to just remove those limbs for some period of time might be, I think, a really good thing if that is possible. I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that should be the outcome, but I think I hadn't heard that before. I think that might be of some satisfaction to the residents, so that the tree is basically still there for a while, and because it is all habitat, as we know. My concern is that looking at those trees, the other three big ones that are there are magnificent trees, and this one is smaller. It is possibly a lot younger, so we're possibly taking out the tree that's still had a lot of life left to go. So it would be interesting, and I do know that with a lot of gum trees, and I can't specifically speak about globulus because I don't know specifically about globulus, but a lot of them, if you cut them back, they will shoot again, and often they shoot into a healthy tree. It will look a bit different. It will look more like it's been bonsai'd, if you like. It'll be a much smaller tree, but it can still be quite a healthy structure. So just as a thought. Thank you.
Something that our arborist could look at.
Madam Mayor, certainly that'll be something that we'll consider very strongly in terms of being able to retain something.
Councillor Edwards?
Through you, Mayor, surely to goodness, we listen to the arborist, do as he tells us, otherwise we get our bum suit off when a limb falls on someone. Quite simple, really.
Councillor Gregson?
Once again, it's going to be the tree. I was quite assured by the acting general manager that ameliorating the limbs, as far as if a limb fell and hit the member of the public, and we know about it, the council will be sued. There's no question about that. But to take the limbs off carefully and for regeneration, that may be an alternative. So that's excellent that the Deputy General is considering that. And there has been within the community, it's quite concerning within the community, especially Swansea, mind you, that the arborist, is the arborist qualified? People were saying we want a qualified arborist to assess the trees. So I was just wondering whether the arborist is qualified to be an arborist. That's the question raised within the community.
Yes, certainly. Good questions, and certainly we, in the same way that I might not be an accountant, but we provide information from an accountant in our reports. In the same way, the business which has provided the information. The owner of the business is not an arborist, but he takes advice from arborists, and in this case, he has consulted and provided the advice of a qualified arborist for this matter.
So it was a qualified arborist that assessed the tree that gave to the person who advised the council. Excellent. Thank you. And the so-called Lou with the view, I tell you, that's caused quite a so-called stick within the Swansea community once again. Evidently, it was assessed in 2023, and I noted that I wasn't here on council then, of course, and I noted the councillors McQueedy and Churchill did vote against it, but it went through as a council decision. Has there been any thought that the Lou with the view number 2, so to speak, there's already one there, does it really need another or not?
Through you, Madam Mayor, it is a decision of council, and so we proceed on that decision of council. We have another set of amenities there which are in quite poor condition, and we get complaints about. It's all been considered in a part of for the public toilet strategy, and so we're following through on the actions associated with that.
So just through the, do you assume that the two toilets, the older toilets that are within that same location, do you envisage those to be upgraded to disabled access?
Through you, Madam Mayor, it would be virtually impossible to make those compliant. There's quite steep grades down to them. It's not a large footprint, and obviously you have larger rooms, if you like, and access into a disabled toilet. So it's unlikely that we'd be able to reuse that facility in any kind of reuse. We'd have to put one in another location, not unlike what we're doing in Blue.
And just I don't know, that's fine. But the other couple of questions I had within the same thing was it's got here community engagement on page 16. Who the Mosaic art representatives are going to be, please?
I'll take that on notice, Madam Mayor, and I can come back to you with that. Certainly we've met with them, we've spoken with them, but off the top of the head I can't give you a...
No, doesn't it? And the other two was Picnic Island and meeting with Minister Kerry Vincent. Could you expand on those meetings?
Certainly. So the 26th, obviously, of June, we met with Minister Kerry Vincent to discuss our concerns and provide a presentation on that was the 26th, was it? Was that the one? On the grants, general grants,
Good.
and to outline council's concerns, and obviously the serious disadvantage this council is in with respect to the allocations that are provided by the State Grants Commission, and the fact that this council has a very aged population with limited incomes, with considerable health problems, and we don't score well when compared with the rest of the state. So our relative disadvantages don't seem to be taken into consideration. So our meeting with the Minister was to outline those things and to apprise him of the concerns we have with those allocations and consider what might be able to be done for Glamorgan Spring Bay going forward. The new owners of Picnic Island simply came in to just give us a bit of an appraisal of what they were looking to do, which is consistent with the use of the property now and with the planning scheme. No grand plans to do anything, simply a very natural experience for people to be able to come and enjoy that location in Cold Bay.
Just as an addendum, I did follow up with the Premier at one stage, and he was quite surprised between the disparity of the allocation of the state grants between Brackendale and Thank you.
Councillor McGregor.
Not about something to do with the view, etc. I've got a question and I guess a comment too through you, Mayor, to Acting General Manager. Under the general section on page 17 of your report, it talks about the rates motion having been passed. and the annual plan going forward. It then goes on to suggest that we're immediately heading into a financial strategy for council. I was surprised, well, question or comment, I'm assuming that will commence in 6 weeks' time when our new GM arrives, General Manager, as part of a key piece of work, if I was that person, that I would be wanting to take forward, rather than a rush to produce something that's not more considered in the context of what, you know, his vision is with us. So can I just have clarification? We are waiting until he comes for that work to start?
Certainly, through you, Madam Chair, the background work has commenced in terms of the preparation of, as with anything, you prepare a document, you present that and you talk about it and you amend as you go forward. So the intent is that that will not come before council for a workshop or consideration before the new CEO commences. So he'll be a vital part of that.
Yep, lovely. And is part of that process then with the new GM to present something with respect to what we need to do about some further strategic planning? We do have a midterm plan, but that's a very short-term one, and it's been recognised that we haven't gone through a full, if you like, strategic planning process, at least for the timeline on council. There has been strategic discussions, but is that in what's you're preparing, do you anticipate that that will include discussion about links to a strategic planning process?
Madam Mayor, so what I'm assuming will be well, there are a few things at play here that would impact how council proceed with that. One of those is the formation of a new government and how that government may pick up or not the review of local government reform. Now, local government reform, one of those processes in there, and why we went with a half-term plan, is as a precursor to a term plan for council. So a term plan for council would be, and again, assuming that there is no substantial activity towards boundary realignment, then this council will be looking to chart its destiny over the next term of council. So for that council to then determine its plan for its term of council. So there are a few things in play there, and certainly those things parked in the back of the mind. Let's see as they unfold, and that will inform the new CEO as to how he goes about that.
Lovely. And just one more question then, if I can, really brief question. On page 23, under grant funded, it talks to marina amenities. Can you just clarify what's meant by marina amenities?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I think that's the next report, which we haven't come to yet.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Walker?
I'll close if I may.
Yes.
Just on a good note, on page 21, the mulching and trimming of gardens at Esplanade Orford is underway and it looks fantastic.
Through you, Madam Mayor, that is also in the next.
In the next one. It is too, sorry. Well, this one's not.
Okay.
So, my apologies. On page 16, under community engagements, Spring Bay Progress Club, I was told you attended, Mr. Porch, and the people who were there, very grateful for you being there, and said you presented very well.
Noted.
That's all you need to do.
Thank you. Have nothing further, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? It's carried unanimously. Agenda item 7.2 is the Director Works and Infrastructure. Again, Mr. Porch's report. The recommendation is on page 24. Councillor Edwards.
I move that the council notes the information.
Seconder. Councillor Young, thank you. Now, Councillor McQueenie, I know you had a question in this report.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, just briefly, the marina amenities, what's the scope of what you're describing when you say marina amenities?
Through Madam Mayor, the marina amenities is the replacement of the existing transportable public toilets.
Councillor Walker, I know you have a
Yes,
question
sorry,
too.
thank you, Matt. I'll go back to page 21 about the mulching and trimming of gardens at the Esplanade Orchard. They look fantastic. And also I note too that the council has started mulching and trimming around Riverside Drive, which that's where I live, and it's actually really nice to meander through there with an actual linear marking.
Edwards?
Amazing to see that groundworks have commenced on the Bishop Triangle. It's been a long time in the making, which is good to see. And the toilets that are getting taken, the demandable toilets, are they going to be, is there any plan to put them on the other side of the marina where they were originally destined to be?
Through you, Madam Mayor, there is no firm plan to put them there at the present. It has certainly been discussed, and it's again one of those things that will depend on other potential uses of the site.
Okay.
Further, Councillor Churchill?
Yes, through the mayor. Is there, to Mr. Porch, is there a time frame on the walking track at Swansea? I know how long's a piece of string, but it's a vital path for the locals, and it's really a spectacular place to walk. So we would hope to get it back in working order as soon as possible.
Through you, Madam Mayor, look, I couldn't state a particular time frame on it, but it is noted that it is a well-used area. It's a little bit difficult to get material into, and we actually use local stone off the beach pretty much there to do the work. And we have a chap who's trained as a stonemason on staff, who's able to do those works. So as soon as practical, we'll be able to get some repair works done there and reinstate that track.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Councillor Gregson?
Through the mayor, it's not a question for the acting general manager. It's general, page 23, 1200 Tomorrow Marine Project feasibility works have commenced through East Coast Tourism Tasmania. Now, to my knowledge, East Coast Tourism Tasmania is a tourist organisation and it's been referred to from state growth to defer to East Coast Tourism Tasmania. Would it be advisable for the council to get back to the minister to say that council would be far better, far more responsible body than East Coast Tourism, because we are nearly the owner of this project and we should have quite a major say. I'm just wondering whether that advice could be forwarded back to state growth for the minister.
Through Madam Mayor, the horse is well and truly bolted on that one. The determination for it to go to East Coast Tourism occurred after a discussion in about June or July, I think it was June last year, between the representatives managing the process for the government and the former general manager, and it's well and truly underway.
If I may, I'm intending to also touch on that in the next agenda item when we go to the annual plan, or would you prefer me to do that now?
If it fits in the annual plan, Councillor?
Yeah, I think I'll just do it in the annual plan.
Nothing further? Put the motion, all those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously, thank you. Agenda item 7.2 is a code of conduct investigation. There is a recommendation on page 27. Councillor Walker?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move that council receives and notes the report.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Young, thank you. So councillors, this is not an opportunity to ask questions on the code of conduct determination, as it substantially relates to personnel information. The opportunity for questions will come in a closed session if councillors wish. There are some anomalies that make me question the veracity of the investigation. So at this point, and for the public record in the minutes of the meeting, I intend to make a statement. I note that a higher authority than I'll ever be is aware I'm making this statement. This code of conduct and the matter it substantially relates to has been going on for almost 12 months. Because of the nature of the workers' compensation complaint, I don't believe I was able to offer a proper defence of myself due to the confidentiality of the employee matter and my inability to release statements that relate to the insurance claim. Additionally, there are demands of the code of conduct process that require a counsellor to keep a code confidential. My husband's been on this journey with me of threats, bullying, intimidation and coercion based on a litany of disinformation, and to his dismay, I chose not to spend upwards of $10,000 to appeal it. I had blind faith in a system that would perceive that I had acted with integrity throughout the whole process of the employee matter and the code of conduct. That was not to be, and a panel of learned people perceived that I was incompetent in assessing conflict of interest, particularly perceived conflict. That same panel perceived that I had participated in meetings with council solicitors up until November 2024 council meeting. That is incorrect. Some of the anomalies of concern to me are the inability of the panel to spell my surname correctly, the incorrect date that I became mayor, and the assertion that governance training requests were ignored, presumably by me.
Point of order, how does that relate to the recommendation and our calling of it? I'm just not sure on what basis that there's,
Councillor,
we're asked to note and a statement's now being made.
that's right. And as I stated at the beginning, a higher authority than I am is aware that I'm making this statement, and the reasons I'm making the statement will become clear at the end of the statement. So some of the anomalies of concern to me are the inability of the panel to spell my surname correctly, the incorrect date that I became mayor, and the assertion that governance training requests were ignored, presumably by me. It appears that the panel chose not to determine who was responsible for the provision of personal development for councillors, and have decided I need further training. What I find disappointing in this determination is that the panel, learned people with experience in local government and legal profession, chose not to take into consideration that the lawyer that had taken my statement was in fact council's insurer's legal representative. Those discussions were at arm's length from council's solicitor, and my statement remains embargoed as it is the property of the insurance company. It should have been evident to the panel that I was under confidentiality provisions that I respected in relation to the workers' compensation claim, but they perceived otherwise. It should have been obvious to the panel that I had cooperated with the insurers to ensure a safe return to work for the employee concerned, but they perceived otherwise. I'm not sure what the panel thinks suspending me for 1 month and doing more training will achieve. A councillor can only decide on perceived conflict in good faith based on the principles of how something is regarded, understood or interpreted. Perception is fundamental to how we interact and influences our choices and actions. It's disappointing that the lack of governance training was raised when the Learn to Lead modules have been available to all elected members for more than 18 months. I'm the only councillor on GSBC who has completed all those modules and completed other training courses offered over the years. So what will more training achieve? Reference is made in this determination to a previous conflict of interest code that was lodged against me. In around 25 years on this council, I've been subjected to 3 codes of conduct. I'm hardly a serial offender, but the panel has somehow perceived that I am, and I should be taught a lesson. As noted in the determination report, I felt threatened in the panel hearing by the questioning, but that was brushed off as acceptable because I received an apology from the panel member concerned. Whether my answers were clear or not is no excuse for the line of questioning that made me feel like the accused in a murder trial. I have no problem with actual and potential conflict of interest. Perceived conflict is more difficult. In situations where there may be no actual potential conflict, someone could think, one would hope reasonably, there is one. The result is a code of conduct, a complaint based on someone's perception of actions. I have reluctantly accepted the determination and the resultant characterisation of the panel that I'm unable to determine a conflict of interest. What I won't accept is the panel's requirement that the determination in this format should be printed in an open agenda. I acknowledge that it is in accordance with the provisions of the Local Government Act for determination of codes of conduct. Just as a panel has a legislative responsibility to have a determination included in an agenda item, Council has a legislative responsibility to include personnel matters in closed session. I am dismayed that the panel gave no consideration to writing the determination in two parts, despite me flagging the confidentiality of the personnel matter in the panel hearing and the chair of the panel giving me an assurance that they would consider that aspect. By insisting on the publication of the determination in this format, I perceive the panel has created a breach of the non-disclosure agreement Council is party to under the employee matter. What is worse is the derogatory statement involving criticism of the Acting General Manager of this Council contained in the document. The panel's criticism of the officer confirmed for me they had no idea of the difficult circumstances we found ourselves in at the time of the employee matter in September last year. In short, it appears they did not apply the principles of perception in this matter. As learned members of the panel, I perceive they should have been more aware of the requirements of the Local Government Act as they apply to a council in personnel matters. As stated earlier, I will serve the suspension from the close of business today. I know that I acted with integrity over the past 12 months, and I'm sorry to disappoint those who have worked hard to have me leave the role of Mayor, but I intend to apply the principles in a favourite saying of a friend when I return on the 22nd of August. No matter how you feel, get up, dress up, show up, and never give up. Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? You against?
Yep.
Why are you against receiving the report?
Because I don't like it. I
Sorry.
don't need a reason.
No, you don't. No, Councillor Edwards is
I won't
against.
say much,
No,
otherwise
she
I'll be
never-
able to charge myself. So
Thank you.
I put my
I'm
hand
not
up,
the charge.
but I'm for it.
I'm sorry?
I was for it. I didn't put my hand up.
Yes, I saw that.
I did.
So Councillor Edwards has voted against noting the report.
Mhm.
Thank you. We'll move on. Agenda item 8.8 is the officers' reports requiring a decision. Agenda item 8.1 is 2025-26 annual plan. Councillor McQueenie, I note that you have a amended motion. Do you wish to put the motion?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
I move that council adopts the 2025, sorry, I think I've got that correct.
Yeah, it should be 25-26.
Yes, the 25-26, apologies, annual plan with the following change to the first row. This context, it's page 6 of section 5, our economy, 2025-26 actions, investment and partnership. It changes from, and I'm not sure how you'd like me to describe this.
But I think you just need to defer to the Acting General Manager. I think it just is a matter of reading the recommendation as it says with your amendment. That's about it, isn't it?
Madam Mayor, I think that will probably suffice. We can identify within the plan that it is, I believe it's page
Oh, I see, yes.
7. It's 6.
Yeah, of the plan
So
itself.
6 of the plan under our economy, 25-26 actions, and it is the first 2 points under our economy.
It's the first row,
First row.
yeah, under that. So there's, because it's in table form, the first part of the row I'm proposing is work with community on the Tribunna Marina Infrastructure Project. So that just changes that box from work with investors because it's broader than investors. And I'll talk a minute about that. The second one is to largely the same as well, but noting it's got, it's commenced dialogue with communities and departments to identify opportunities and changes, reflecting that it's not just investors, it's community. And the second point is to ensure a robust process is employed for this key Tribunna Marina Infrastructure and Resourcing Project, with draft terms of reference and draft plans presented to council as part of the project development
Is this your,
process.
that's your motion?
Yeah.
So I need to understand this for Mrs. Kerr and the recording and the general manager. So the motion, your motion is that council adopts the 2025-26 annual plan as attached to this report with the amendment, with an amendment to the first row on page 6 in section 5
That's right, and then beneath that, you will have in front of you
to be
the
replaced with.
original content and the proposed one.
I haven't got page 5. Or
Do we
I've got
need to-
page 22.
Do we, Councillor,
Yes.
needs to read that out. And this is what we see on the first row. And then we can put this in. Councillor, Councillor McQueenie, I think what we can do, rather than making it a wee bit confusing, for want of a better
Yeah,
word,
it is.
is that your motion is that council adopts the 2025-26 annual plan as attached to this report with an amendment to the first row, page 6, section 5, our community investment and partnership development, etc., is replaced with. So I think we can get that.
Yep.
Would that, does that work?
Sure, that, Jen?
Mrs. Kerr, I think we can work that in the minutes. Is that fine? Thank you. Do we have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Gregson, thank you. Councillor McQueenie, do you wish to speak to it?
Yeah, essentially this returns to the question of the Marina project. When the Marina project was originally announced or described to community and ourselves, we, council, were going to be running it or managing the process because it's an infrastructure project. So this change that's proposed reflects the change arrangements to how that project will proceed. The project was, as the Acting General Manager mentioned, transferred from council managing it to East Coast Tas Tourism managing it. I would note, and I have always supported how we engage East Coast Tas Tourism for tourism work, but this is an infrastructure project. Tas Tourism is a small body with an annual operational budget of $500,000 and 22 sits in its bank. To my knowledge and to others who brought this to my attention, it does not have expertise in infrastructure projects, nor in infrastructure resourcing matters. So in the context of the change that's occurred, I think our community, well they do, a number have come and expressed concerns about this as an infrastructure project fundamentally centred around council's infrastructure, that is the marina, and that it's being managed by a small tourism body. And that we need to satisfy ourselves that that project is being advanced in a way that realises the best outcomes for Tribunna in this community, not necessarily picking and choosing, for instance, as might be described in terms of reference, who sits on that body without any reference to the actual skill set that is needed for a project or for an infrastructure project. And then by that I mean there are differences between stakeholders and who you talk to and engage with to consider options versus those who should be managing it, cognizant and experienced in infrastructure project management.
So could I just stop you there for a moment? Could I ask you not to keep hitting the table for no reason other than our microphones are not that great at the moment, and it does it impacts on the streaming.
It's because I'm so short, so I'll sit up, elevate my chair.
I can relate to that, Councillor.
Yes. So my concern is one, that now it's my understanding that in terms of a community focus, that community focus will be represented by outside of institutional or business focus, will be represented by only 2 people, and it's incumbent upon us, if we are not managing it, to engage community in what they want, rather than just look at business propositions, because this is about funding for infrastructure in the short and medium and long term, and decisions around that. So the first change is to change those words from investors, who will be stakeholders for sure, but that our focus is on the community for that project. And so the two dot points that have changed, not terribly fundamentally, but one is the dialogue is with community about what they want for their marina in the short, medium and long term, given it's our asset. And the second is to ensure that if this process has been passed to a very small tourism marketing focused organisation to manage an infrastructure project that's fundamentally Tribunna communities and councils infrastructure, that we have some reasonable ways of making sure that this is steered appropriately with the community's interest at heart. Through the terms of reference, which we talk to membership and what the project is and what roles they have and the governance for it. There's a draft set, I am aware, that it's out now, that I think this group council should consider. And the second is that any plans that might be developed, which at the moment will go to a board of East Coast Tas Tourism, come to us first in draft form for us to have comfort that what's proposed is sound, reasonable and does represent our community. Thus, the motion.
Questions or comments?
Madam Mayor,
Would you like to address some of the concerns Councillor McQueenie has in
If I-
report?
if I
Because you've
may.
been very heavily involved in this aspect with state growth and various other government departments, as I understand it.
That's correct. Well, certainly with reference to the plan and how that impacts that and council's way forward, I'm supportive of the change to the plan as is proposed. I think when we did the work with council to do the half-term plan and then putting some actions against that, it's unfolded a little bit since then, and we have a bit better sense of what that would be. So I think that the actions that are proposed are more appropriate given where we're at the moment. So I would certainly support and endorse the proposed change.
The motion you made, Mr.
The motion, yes, the motion is that we.
Just asking a question, because I couldn't understand what Councillor McQueen said.
So the motion is moved by Councillor McQueen, seconded by Councillor Gregson. The council adopts the 2025-26 annual plan as attached to the report with an amendment to the first row, page 6 of section 5, our economy 2025-26 actions, investment, partnership and development, that will be replaced with work with community on Tribunna Marina infrastructure project. And the dialogue in that is commence dialogue with community and departments to identify opportunities and challenges. Second point, ensure a robust process is employed for this key Tribunna Marina infrastructure and resourcing project, with draft terms of reference and draft plans presented to council as part of the project development process.
And Madam Mayor, as I understand it, the acting general manager thinks the amendment is a good idea.
As I understand it, you're quite correct,
Thank you.
Councillor. Councillor Churchill, then Councillor Edwards.
Yes, I totally support what Councillor McQueen has stated there, and I'm pleased that our General Manager has also backed that up, because he has had so much involvement. But we've got to keep the focus of this with the community of Tribunna, especially general community, but the community of Tribunna should own this whole process, and we've got to ensure that they remain included in the decisions going forward. And I mean in a real way, that they have the opportunity to quite clearly state their case and what their requirements are for this into the future. Thank you.
Councillor Edwards.
Would it, through you, Mayor, would it not be wise to say work with community and investors? Because
Mr. Fulch, is that a...
Madam Mayor, taking a holistic approach, investors are part of the community.
Councillor McQueen, no, I'm sorry, Councillor Gregson wants to speak, and you've already moved the motion.
No, I'd just like to concur with Councillor Churchill, but really it boils down to the Tribunna community and the ownership they have at this marina. They're the ones that are going to be affected, so they have really consulted very heavily. And their decisions must be taken very, very seriously.
Just Councillor McCready, hold on. Any other questions or comments in relation to this motion?
Yes, I have a question, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Young.
I thought that the council managed the marina, but as I understand the discussion, that is not the case. Is that correct?
That's more I can tell you.
Through you, Madam Mayor, council manages the marina. The project that is being considered and in the annual plan is being talked about is the further development of the marina and the marine area. And that encompasses potential change to where businesses operate from, where other community organisations operate from, and where the ferry itself operates from.
So, the extra bits won't come under council's auspices. Is that what the risk is?
To you, Madam Mayor, at no stage will the other things come through become councils to manage. The intent of council's intent through its plans that it's endorsed previously is to progress the development of the marina if it's feasible to do so, and not be taking on the other extraneous components of it. But our proposed development may have an impact on others that needs to be considered.
Councillor McCready, if you bear with me, as soon as everybody's had a say, I will let you close debate. Anything further? Councillor Gregson, did you decide you wanted to, I thought you were going to speak.
No, I've already spoken.
Yes, thank you. Councillor McCready, would you like to close debate?
Yeah, just to make one comment in response to a number of things that have been said, and that about this is community's project, and I think community needs to feel like what's happening in the area is for their benefit. There will be a number of stakeholders, including community, that if we look at this as about where funding happens for the short, medium and long term, and we use terms, just as an example, like investors, that may be investors may be people based on what the community and plan says that aren't even identified right now. Tendering and contracts that might go out. So my concern to make it just community was because it doesn't therefore privilege what the development might be and who might be involved. So I think others have made comments that
Are we closing debate?
absolutely.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Councillor Edwards is against. The motion is carried. Agenda item 8.2, draft model dispute resolution policy. There is a recommendation on page 32. Just remind councillors that this is part of a new process under the Local Government Act that we have to implement. That's right. Yes. Councillor
Madam Mayor, I move that council adopt the model dispute resolution policy as attached to this report item effective 22nd July 2025.
Seconder. Is there a seconder? Councillor Churchill, thank you. Councillor Young, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, I do, Madam Mayor. I think it's a fool of a motion, but I'm moving it because of the local government requirement, statutory requirement. There's one way to muck up fixing up a dispute is to have 10,000 rules about it and to have to go through the rules before you can sue someone who's not going to be amenable to reasonable discussion and reasonable outcome. There's many a court case that's won because the person that's suing does not go through the full dispute resolution policy. But the law requires that we have it. So therefore, I bow to the greater wisdom of the members of the State Parliament, and I'm sure there'll be even more endowed with sagacity as a result of this election, so therefore I move it.
Any other comments? I did have a seconder. Councillor Churchill did second it. So are there any questions or comments? Councillor Edwards, thank you.
I would like to completely agree with Councillor Young. Not a waste of paper, but it's a legislative requirement.
Any other questions? Councillor Gregson, then Councillor McQueenie.
Again, just for a clarification, it seems that the council here has adopted the Legat's model dispute resolution policy verbatim. Now, there is, within the documentation, within the attachments, there's space for an adaptation of circumstances pertinent to the council, but still conform to the recent legislation. What do you suggest that we do to make it custom made for this council instead of just adopting the model dispute resolution verbatim from the government?
Yes.
Point of order, Madam
Sorry.
Mayor, that was not a question.
Isn't it?
It was a statement.
No, I'm asking.
And it's not for the mayor to say what council policy ought to be. There's been a motion moved. If you don't approve the motion, you can vote against it. And if you want to foreshadow alternative votes, you can do that.
Thank you, Councillor Gregson. Thank you, Councillor Young. Councillor
so
Gregson,
what's your rule?
Councillor Young, I take your point that it may not have been a question, but I think it was a very valid comment from Councillor Gregson as to why we're adopting the LGAT policy verbatim, as he put it. And I think the simple answer is that LGAT, as I understand it, Mr. Fortune, LGAT has worked with their member councils, all 29, to develop this model policy, and it really comes down to don't reinvent the wheel.
Jim, Madam Mayor, that would be correct, and if I were to add anything, it would be that if we adopted the policy, and as with any good policy, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. We give the policy a run, and we will test it, no doubt, from time to time. And if we find that it's broken, it would be then a time to look at making an amendment rather than potentially trying to see issues that may not be there.
And Councillor McQueenie, is that answering your question?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McQueenie.
I'd just like to make comment that it looks very heavy and very long, this process. So I've got some sympathy for what other speakers have said. In both ways, this council, I think, at times has used some very effective but far less engineered processes for dispute resolution that I think have worked quite well. So I would note, and equally, there may be occasions where if there's an issue around a code of conduct, you wouldn't be going through a 3-month process where you thought that there were significant issues that needed to be addressed immediately. And 1.2.1 allows for both of those things, so that while it's a policy in full, the process is not mandated if you read 1.2.1. If there are reasons why you needn't go to that specific level of a dispute policy. So it provides guidance, and other councils may use it, but clearly where other less engineered things can happen, then you're able to.
I think the General Manager made a very good point when he said that let's run with it. If in 6 months' time, 3 months' time, whatever, we find that it isn't working how this council thinks it should, it can always come back to council for review. Yes, General Manager?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Young, would you like to close debate on this?
Yes,
Councillor, oh, sorry, Councillor Churchill, I missed you. I'm
he
sorry.
wanted to say something.
No, that's, no,
Councillor Churchill.
no, it's fine.
Councillor Young there, would you like to close debate on this one?
I've said all I need to say. We have to do it. That's why I'm moving.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Agenda item 8.4 is the Chief Chief Executive Officer title policy. There is a recommendation on page 37. Councillor
8.3, Madam Chair.
No,
Sorry, did I miss one?
8.3, I
Sorry,
think.
8.3, revised policy, council meetings, audio visual recording and live streaming. There is a recommendation on page 34. Thank you. Are you moving, councillor McQueenie?
The council adopts the revised council meetings, audio visual recording and live streaming policy as attached to this report item effective 22nd of July 2025.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Churchill, thank you. Councillor McQueenie, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Yes. The issue of, as we do in our
Okay, councillor, someone's phone's ringing.
no.
I
Sorry.
move the meeting be adjourned for 5 minutes so councillor McQueenie can answer her phone
I don't need to, it's an alarm, thank you.
or can obey the alarm.
We're not adjourning, councillor Young.
Procedural motion, Madam Mayor.
And I've ruled that we're not adjourning. Right.
The issue,
Now, I need to know, did I get a seconder for that? I don't recall.
No,
I
you
didn't
didn't
get
call
it.
for
I
it.
did, councillor Churchill, thank you. Right, councillor McQueenie.
our meetings, our open meetings are recorded and live streamed. This looks to record with specific arrangements around the confidential items we have. That motion has been put to this particular council a number of times in the last 2 years and not supported. So from my perspective, I agree with what the paper says, that it's just a matter of good governance to actually do it, which is why it's being made mandatory, and I'll be supporting it.
Councillor Churchill, you wish to comment?
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to say I'll be supporting it for exactly the same reasons that Councillor McQueenie has pointed out in the information.
That's very good.
Once again, we've got no choice, but I'm not going to support it because I don't agree with it. But I think the security of the confidential recordings, you can bleat on as much as you want about security. Every other week there's a security breach from major banks, major departments, Medicare, who I'm pretty sure that their cyber security is better than the Morgan Springbank Council's.
Councillor Gregson?
Yes, I'd like to concur with both Councillor McQueenie and Churchill, and just to note that Councillor Churchill did move the motion last year for exactly the same reasons.
So Gregson, that actually is not relevant in this situation. What we're dealing with is a policy that has dropped out of recent legislative changes.
Right, yeah, so in that case, I'll be supporting the.
Are there any other questions or comments? Nothing further. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Councillors Walker and, sorry, are you for or
I'm
against?
for,
Councillor
sorry.
McQueenie, thank you. Councillors Walker and Edwards are against. Thank you. Now, agenda item 8.4 is the Chief Executive Officer title policy. There is a recommendation on page 37. Councillor Churchill.
I move the council adopts the Chief Executive Officer title policy as attached to this report item, and the transitional steps detailed in the policy be implemented with a view to a change in title taking effect from the 8th of September 2025.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Walker. Councillor Churchill, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Mayor. There's really not a lot to say about it. It's a matter of adopting a new way of thinking and a new term, so that it would appear that the term general manager is on the way out, and we're going to be referring to them all as chief executive officers from pretty soon. So thank you.
And I think it's probably a good time to say that, yes, you're right. I think the Office of General Manager will ultimately disappear from the Local Government Act, but this then allows us the opportunity to rename that role and comply. Councillor Young.
Madam Mayor, I will support this motion. But what it really is, it's just rearranging the chairs on the deck of the Titanic. It means now, in order to work out who the boss is, we've got to look at this motion, the amendments to the Act, the appointment, the contract, and a whole lot of tangle of things that no doubt have come out of the Local Government Association of Tasmania that are well known for their efficiency and effective leading of this community. So I'll put up with drowning on the deck of the Titanic and support this thing.
Any other questions or comments, councillor Gregson?
The Local Government Act, it refers to the general manager, and this is a way of
It does.
making the I thought it was going to be this comes I certainly would have remained with the general
I'm sorry,
manager.
what did you say?
Madam Mayor, I can't hear what
No,
the
I can't
councillor
either,
is
councillor
saying.
Young.
Right, I'm just acknowledging the legalese of course, the general manager, title of general manager is still within the Local Government Act of 1993, and the Walton Spring Bay Council, along with other councils, are adopting the CEO title. It makes it rather cumbersome, but I can see the reason why. And whatever happened to the council clerk?
Are there any other questions?
Madam Mayor, I don't think the councillor is old enough to know anything about council clerk.
Thank you, Councillor Young.
You said that you're 21 and I asked you before.
Councillor Young, thank you. I need to clarify who moved the motion. Councillor Churchill, thank you, and who seconded, please? Who seconded the motion? Councillor
me.
Walker, you did, thank you, that's right, I just had to make the note. So, Councillor Churchill, do you wish to close debate around this?
Yes, I will quickly, if I may. I just hope that this major change isn't too difficult for councillors in the room, especially with Councillor Young and Councillor Gregson expressing some discomfort. I'm sure they will adapt to it quite nicely as we go. Thank you.
Thank you,
I'll
I'll
bring
put the
another
motion,
pile of junk to look at every day.
I'll put the motion, all those in favour, those against, carried unanimously. Agenda item 8.5 is a review of the delegation register that is on page 39. Councillor Young,
I move that council endorses the revised delegations register as attached to this report item effective 8 September 2028 and notes that for the avoidance of doubt, Chief Executive Officer means the General Manager.
thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Gregson, thank you. Councillor Young,
As I understand it, Madam Mayor, the Act has changed and the requirement of delegation has changed. That's why one of the reasons why we've got this new register.
that's not, as I understand it, not strictly correct. Councillor Young, the
Oh,
Act
so
has not changed in relation to the General Manager, the references to the General Manager. This is, for the avoidance of doubt, our Chief Executive Officer under the Act is still taking the General Manager's role. It's just he has a contemporary title change. So
So
Because
this
the
is
Act
to deal
still-
with the change of name, not the change of what's been delegated.
This is delegation.
So in the delegation, we have to change it to Chief Executive Officer because that's what we will be titled, our new General Manager will be titled.
Well, I'll still move it because
Okay,
it's all in the name. It just shows that you can trip up on the deck
that's
of the
great.
Titanic.
All right. Seconder, who seconded? Councillor Churchill, did you? Thank you. Thank you. I just again hadn't written it down. Councillor Churchill, do you wish to comment on it?
No, just that I think Councillor Young stated 2028. I think he meant 2025.
I'm sorry, I did. Did I say
Did you?
28?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you with that correction. Any other questions or comments on these delegations report? It's just merely legislative changes and council responsibility changes. If there's nothing further, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Councillor
Those in
Edwards,
favour, sorry.
for? Thank you. Motion's carried unanimously. The Australia Day long weekend, Councillor McQueenie, I am aware that you have an amendment to that. Yes, do you wish to move the motion?
Yes, I do, thank you. I move that council support the Australia Long Weekend campaign and advocate for the Australia Day public holiday to be moved to the second last Monday in January by registering council support on the Australia Day Long Weekend website and writing to our federal government representatives. And 2, which is the new part, council plan its Australia Day awards presentation to align with the National Australia Day Council presentation currently held on the 25th of January every year.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Churchill, Councillor McQueenie, do you wish to speak to the
I'm
motion?
happy to.
Others go first.
Before we go, if I may,
Yes,
in council support Australia Day long weekend, it's actually Australia long weekend. At the beginning you said council
number-
support the Australia Day long weekend.
Oh, right,
It's
sorry.
actually
council
Australia.
support the Australia long weekend, so it should be Australia,
Right.
Australia Day long weekend. And we're
Yeah.
missing a word there.
No, Australia long
Okay,
weekend.
right, thank you. Right, councillor McQueenie, speak to the
At
motion.
this point, I'll have to sum up. At this point, the only change is to that second part of the motion.
Any other questions or comments? Councillor Churchill?
Yeah, just I wanted to say, Mayor, if I may, this seems to me like a reasonable thing to do for our Aboriginal community who have been obviously affected by the 26th of January with the history of the landing of the First Fleet, and as they see it, and I think a lot of Australians see it, this was the invasion of Australia. And I share that discomfort, and I think it is a good move to start to move away from that date as Australia's celebration of Australia, rather than the celebration of an event which seriously impacted the people who've been looking after this land for a lot longer than we have. Yes, I fully support the motion.
Any other questions? Councillor Edwards?
I vehemently disagree with the motion. I think some of the assumptions that Councillor Churchill made are probably incorrect. And as far as every poll you have in the country supports Australia Day in a very decisive manner. There is a percentage of the Indigenous population who are opposed to it. There's also a percentage of the Indigenous population very happy to celebrate our current Australia Day. So it is certainly not a us and them argument. Once we start fiddling with everything, we'll end up with nothing. And it disappoints me greatly that basically, a little bit of research I did, a left-wing lawyer out of Melbourne has put this motion up, which has come through to us, all out of the middle of nowhere. And now we're going to vote on whether we adopt to change the day we do our Australia Day ceremony, which we've done on the same day forever. I think it's just ludicrous.
Questions? Any comments? Sorry, Councillor Gregson?
With regard to the motion and the so-called Australia Day, the second last weekend in January has been proposed, and Councillor McQueen's motion specifies the 25th of January. It's really a Commonwealth legislation which will determine Australia Day and not this council. So really, do you reckon we should wait until the Australian government decides what they do with Australia Day and then we can adopt that?
A thought on this?
I have, Madam Mayor, and effectively, as with this year, or yes, early this year, January this year, we planned the awards around the weekend, and a day that worked, which wasn't Australia Day, it was on the weekend. And so in a sense, we're suggesting that, well, again, the first part of the motion is to simply to support advocacy by registering support on that website and inviting the federal government representatives. So to suggest that this is what this council agrees with, if indeed it votes that way. And again, to form what we're doing anyway, which is looking at around that weekend and when is practical to have it, as opposed to it must be on that next day.
Yeah, just through there, to the acting general manager. Hypothetically, if we took 25th of January, that could be on Wednesday, and one weekend would be before that, if it's on Wednesday. We'd have to align it. And it would be really good if the Commonwealth government would basically make a decision.
Councillor Walker?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I won't be supporting this today because as Councillor Edwards said, you know, once we start, where do we stop? And I'm certainly not, I'm not interested in starting at, and I agree with what Councillor Gregson says, it's up to the Commonwealth. They should be leading the charge, so to speak. So, yeah, no, I won't be supporting it today.
Except if I can find no, because I'm going to. Yep. The Australia Day, as long as I can remember, 70 odd years on this earth, it's only recently that I'm guessing probably 10, 15 years, is it, since 26th of January came into being?
1994.
1994. Was it that long ago? Was it, Councillor? Thank you.
Half my lifetime ago.
Okay, it is a lifetime ago. What I was going to say is there was never any, to me, when it was on that last weekend or that last Monday in January, there was never any dissension, there was never any concerns or anything. When it changed the 26th of January, that's when we started having problems. I'm inclined to agree. I would like to support the Australia Day Long Weekend campaign, part one of this, but I can't support part two because that locks into a day that is likely to be, as you identify, Councillor Gregson, in the middle of the week at some point. So I'm a little bit betwixt and between at the moment. I would certainly support going back to that long weekend because of my experiences of you know, many years ago. So on that note, I will put the motion.
No, I haven't.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, you haven't. Yeah.
So a few things to say. One of my past flatmates was the CEO of the Australia Day Council, the national one, back in the 90s. And I can remember having a discussion with her that I was 30 before all states agreed. So I don't think it's quite right that it's the Commonwealth decision. All states agreed to make the 26th of January Australia Day. So it is recent. I agree with, or I concur with what the Mayor just said. When this came to us, I just thought this was a really practical thing for business and schools and a whole bunch of people. Whilst not in Tassie, there are schools that start earlier than here, so that's where it came. One thing I do want to say, and I don't see why aligning any council, any government aligning to the National Australia Day Award ceremonies that happen every year would be contentious. But it appears to be at this table because those awards are given to like Australian of the Year, the Senior of the Year, the Young Person of the Year, Community Advocate of the Year, on that, always on the evening of prior to. So that's what item 2 suggests, to align it to what is done nationally for this country, which of course includes our state reps who are put forward as Australian of the Year. The other thing on the issue of First Nations people, since I joined this council, I have joined every committee or gone to every ceremony where it was honouring people, where significant things, trauma related, are part of. So from the Seafarers Memorial Committee, which I joined, I always attend as council representative currently, for the time I've been on, all the RSL related ceremonies, which is to recognise the sacrifice or trauma or, horrible events that have occurred amongst the communities. So for me, if we can provide space to not celebrate Australia Day on Anzac Day, or where we recognise that there are sensitivities that exist for certain populations, I don't get why we cannot show the grace to not have a celebration. The only thing that council does on Australia Day but align it. Everybody wants to be able to celebrate Australia Day. But we can't say we're considering everybody if we don't, if the grace we bring to issues like Seafarers Memorial, the grace we bring to days like Anzac Day or Remembrance Day, if we can't bring that grace to this experience, I think that diminishes us. If we can't
I'll
show
put the
that.
motion. All those in favour? Councillor Churchill, Councillor Gregson and Councillor McQueenie. Those against? Councillor Young, Councillor Walker, Mayor Arnold, Councillor Edwards. The motion is lost. Agenda item 8.7 is the community small grant for Visionary Shed. The recommendation is on page 45. Councillor Walker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll move that council approves the application of community small grant funding of $1,000 to Bishno Community Men's Shed for partial payment of insurance policies for 2025-26.
Seconder, is that you, Councillor Edwards? Thank
Yep.
you. Councillor Walker, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Other than to say that it's a shame that our grant money is going towards insurance, helping our communities with insurance costs.
We can only hope that the new TAS Insure comes into play for assistance. Councillor Edwards, do you have a comment?
No.
No? Any other questions or comments, Councillor Gregson?
Just to recognise that this was brought forward from the original application for this financial year, so, and yes, I was supporting the Bishno Men's Shed for $1,000.
Thank you. Councillor Young?
Madam Mayor, and I will support this motion, but it seems to me that we ought to take a sensible step about speaking to our underwriters and brokers to extend the cover that we get to places like the Bishno Community Shed, and it must have a legal name, although this is an unspecified name, but so that we don't have to keep paying for these sorts of things. We pay each year a small loading on our insurance that covers these sorts of entities for these sorts of events. It shouldn't be difficult to do. You can insure against anything if you approach the thing correctly. Even the MGM Grand insured against damage arising out of a fire after the fire occurred.
Councillor Edwards, I'll come to you in a moment. If I could just confer with Mr. Porch. I think we've had this conversation with our brokers over several years.
Not
And
effectively, Madam Mayor, not effectively.
So it might be something that we can do, but as I said earlier, hopefully the new TAS Insure might play a part. Councillor Edwards.
I actually spoke to a friend of mine who's an insurance broker in Sydney, and he said he'd be very interested in having a look at it. He'd be very interested in having a look at it.
Oh.
And any council related, I don't know whether we're tied to somebody or not, but he said very interested in having a look to simplify the whole thing.
Thank
Be
you.
sensible, reduce the cost.
Exactly.
Councillor Walker, is there no other comments or questions? I'll put the motion, or Councillor Walker, you wish to close debate? No, thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Agenda item 8.8 is another small community grant, the Bicheno Helping Hands Fund. There is a recommendation on page 48. Councillor Edwards?
I recommend the council approve the application for community small grant funding for $1,000 to Salvation Army Tasmania.
No, wrong one, councillor.
Have I?
48.
Page 40.
Page
Oh, I'm
48,
on 52. That's the one I was going to do, but I'll do that now. That's all right. The council approve the application for community small grant funding for $1,000 to Bicheno Helping Hands Fund.
Thank you. Seconded, councillor Young. Councillor Edwards, you wish to speak to it?
No, it's
Thank
fine.
you.
I think
Any
it's
other
all self-explanatory.
speakers?
I don't wish to speak.
Yes,
Councillor Gregson?
to clarify.
Is that a question, Madam
Could you,
Mayor?
yes, can you please speak, two things, councillor, you need to speak up.
Yes.
Because neither councillor Young and my hearing aids are effective in this room if you don't speak up, so please speak up.
And just to clarify, is this more of an elderly disabled Meals on Wheels?
No, I don't believe so. They, as far as I'm aware, the Bicheno Helping Hands group will assist anybody in the community who needs it.
Right, including children?
As far as I'm-
Including who, Madam Mayor?
as I'm aware.
Children, small people?
Some children do need it, Madam
Yes,
Mayor.
yeah.
As far as I'm aware.
Yeah, and it's the legacy of Peter Farrow, evidently. So
Second who?
it's the legacy of Peter Farrow.
Yes.
Evidently.
He's not in this motion.
No, it's Helping Hands. He was the basically.
Councillor Gregson,
Well,
all
so-
councillor Young, please. Councillor Gregson.
However, I do have a great deal of sympathy and empathy for people that simply cannot afford food or go hungry. So I will be supporting this motion.
Thank you. On that note, I'll put the motion. Sorry, councillor McLeany.
Yeah, I suppose one comment. I'll be supporting the motion. I was a little interested probably to ask the question. This is going to the bakery who provides, it would look like at market value, and quite right, meals. Is this something that's managed so that any provider in Bicheno has?
I
Can go for it,
don't
because-
know the answer to that. I do know that the Bicheno Helping Hands is a very small group of dedicated volunteers that are trying to improve the life of several people in the community.
As I said, I support it. I just think this takes council into a little bit of territory if we're not checking if this is money that, like if this is available to all the people who produce meals in Bicheno. Anyway.
On that note, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried. Thank you. Agenda item 8.9 is the community small grant for the Salvation Army Tasmania East Coast Mobile Mission. The recommendation is on page 52. Councillor McQueen.
The council approved the application for community small grant funding of $1,500 to Salvation Army Tasmania East Coast Mobile Mission for funding to purchase food for community-based initiatives. And yes, that's 500 and all of them.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Walker, thank you. Councillor McQueen, would you like to speak to the motion and the amendment that you've just made?
Yep.
Thank you.
The Salvation Army Tasmania East Coast Mobile Mission works relentlessly across the entire year, not just to provide food to people who are in need of it, but also to be the barbecue for the volunteers barbecue, and in the context of how many hours week on week on week that these people do as they travel around doing this. And it's not to compare it to other initiatives, but I think they are very worthy of receiving 1,500.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Walker, you wish to make?
Yes, I would, just to acknowledge the tremendous work the Salvation Army do here on the East Coast. I do know Steve personally very, very well, and I just commend them on the job that they do.
Quite amazing. If there's nothing, councillor Gregson.
Yes, I'd just like to concur with Councillor Walker and Councillor McQueenie with their very cogent comments, and the people involved here on the East Coast are very, very good and very positive people, so I wholly support this $1,500 that they're presenting. Councillor McQueenie.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Yes, thank you. Agenda item 8.10 is an event support grant application. Note that is an event support, not community small grant for the Freycinet Challenge 2025. There is a recommendation on page 58. Councillor Edwards.
I move that the council approves the application from Jamset Proprietary Limited for the Freycinet Challenge event for event support towards the costs of 3 safety boats for the event and in-kind support as resources permit. This support will be provided in the form of a $2,000 cash contribution and in-kind support for the Freycinet Challenge 2025 event.
Seconder. Councillor Young, thank you. Councillor Edwards, you wish to speak to the motion?
I'll reserve my.
Reserved. Thank you. Councillor Young, do you wish to speak to the motion?
No, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Any other speakers for or against? Councillor McQueenie.
I'll be supporting the motion. I would say that there's no recognition on sponsorship or anything on their webpage of the contribution, which I thought we had as part of our expectation of giving it, that we are, the council's also supporting this. So it'd be good if we're going to support it, that our logo and whatever is recognised. May not be a major sponsor, but
They do significantly recognise it at the presentation because they have our banner and everything there. So yeah. They do. Councillor Gregson.
$2,000 plus in-kind support. How much will the in-kind support be, and what will that be?
Mr. Forge.
Cheers, Madam Mayor, detailed on page 58, wheel event suppliers, resources, med access to power supply, social media and marketing support through existing council channels to promote the event, encourage people to compete and or spectate over the course of the event. The likely value of that would be in the order of $1,000.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Churchill.
I'll obviously be supporting this too. However, it was brought to our attention at the COP session that we had a few months ago in Coles Bay that there is disruption to community through those 2 days that has quite a serious impact on the business centre of the village there. So I just think that perhaps there should be some planning goes around that. We need to consult with those people organising it, but it didn't seem to me to be an insurmountable problem, and the person putting it to us was one of the business owners who was certainly not complaining. She was trying to convey the message to us that perhaps it could be done a little bit better with a little bit more planning, and perhaps we do have some involvement in that.
So yeah, I agree with you totally, Councillor Churchill, because I was part of that conversation
Right, yes.
with that business owner. It was at a community pop-up in Coles Bay.
True.
So, Mr. Porch, if I may, I just wonder if there is an opportunity here that when we advise them of this grant, if in fact it goes through, that we could make a suggestion that coming out of our community grant, our community pop-up sessions, was some concern about the planning and how it affects the businesses, just to highlight to the people that's planning it.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I can report that has already been conveyed to those who are running that particular event. I'm not sure whether it was this event or the other Freycinet one, but whichever one of those 2 events caused the difficulty with the change in their timing. Yes, we certainly wrote to them and advised them that their consultation may have been a little bit underdone with regard to those businesses, and that we would expect a little bit more in the future.
That's a good outcome, thank you. If there's nothing further, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously, thank you. Event 812, agenda item 8.12 is the event support grant application for the Bicheno Food and Wine Festival. There is a recommendation on page 66.
You missed
No,
one.
you missed one.
I missed one again, have I?
Yeah,
8.11.
I could be forgiven for thinking I'd like, I'm racing through the town, through it. Thank you, councillor, for alerting me to that. 8.11 is event support grant application for Swansea Chamber of Commerce and Tourism Local Events Committee. There is a recommendation on page 62, which I had the correct one up. Councillor Churchill.
I move the council approve the application for event support from Swansea Chamber of Commerce and Tourism Local Events Committee for $1,100 towards the Mental Health Comedy Roadshow event.
Thank you, seconder. Councillor Gregson. Councillor Churchill, do you wish to speak to the motion?
I am told that this is an amazing event and no one should miss it. I'm very happy to support that money to the Chamber.
Thank you, councillor Gregson. Do you wish to comment?
Yes, I'd like to support the Mental Health Comedy Roadshow, which will be a good laugh and it's funny as what councils do, isn't it? No, anyway, no, I'm being facetious. Yes, no, I support this for you.
Councillor McQueenie.
Thank you. I attended this last year at the Buckland Church. I don't know if anybody else did. It was hysterical. It was really, really funny. And the comedians were amusing as well as localised beautifully. It was a great night out.
Councillor McQueenie, I suppose you are speaking in favour of the motion.
Absolutely, and everyone should go.
Especially any other questions or comments? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? It's carried unanimously. Now we'll get to agenda item 8.12, event support grant application for the Bicheno Food and Wine Festival, and there is a recommendation on page 66. Councillor McQueenie.
Sorry, I hadn't lost it. But, I've got the officer's recommendation. It doesn't have a motion.
I think the officer's recommendation is the motion.
Okay.
Councillor, if you wish to move it.
Sorry. That council approved the application for rent support for Bicheno Festivals Community Inc. for $2,000 for the Bicheno Food and Wine Festival to cover the cost of supplementary wheel bins and transport, skip bin hire and waste management towards the event. And 2, provide in-kind support of permit fees waiver, venue/site hire waiver, power for event and collection of recycling post-event, aluminium cans, glass and plastic bottles, sorted in bulk bags for collection.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Churchill, thank you. Councillor McQueenie, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Only to say I'm intending to support it, but again, on the website, there's no logo. If we really look to do that.
Councillor Churchill?
Nothing to say. It's a
No
great event.
questions or comments?
Just
Councillor
to
Gregson?
concur with Councillor Churchill, it's a very good event, I thoroughly enjoy it. And how much would be the in-kind support for this event, please?
Madam Mayor, again, probably in the order of $1,000.
Thank you. Nothing further. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Motion's carried. Thank you unanimously. Move on. Agenda item 9 is councillors' motions with notice. There are none. There are no petitions at agenda item 10. Agenda item 11, there's questions. Question 11.1 is question time. There is a question on notice from councillor McQueenie. Sorry? That's what I've got here, councillor McQueenie. You don't have to read it.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting that you.
I've just remembered because, yes, because of something else. We have Can you provide some information about what we receive publicly available as council for our, with respect to our MOU with Parks and Wildlife Service for the support of the ferry arrangements?
Is that a question on notice, I think?
That would be a question on notice.
Approximate amount? Is that reasonable? Okay, that's fine. I'll frame something more cleverly next time.
So we're still on the question.
Yes, you are still, Councillor McQueenie did put a question on notice, which is fine, but this is councillor question time. So Councillor Gregson, then Councillor Walker. Councillor Gregson?
Good, thank you. I just have a further inquiry with regard to the light at the half court basketball court at Swansea. I was just wondering how that was progressing, please, through the gentleman.
Through you, Madam Mayor, it is on my extensive list of things to do. That's as far as it's gone. I appreciate that it would be very beneficial to the users there, but Paula can only offer apologies. We haven't done anything with it yet.
And just to follow up that, do you think it will be completed by summer 2025?
Through you, Madam Mayor, it would be ideal if we could, and we'll see if we can.
And just the second one, and the Duck Park and the Jubilee Beach play area fencing, has that progressed or not, please?
Through you, Madam Mayor, no, it has not.
That's one too.
Thank you, Councillor Walker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I have two questions. In the May Council meeting, at the end of the council meeting, Councillor McQueenie stated that she was going to resign at the end of June. Have you received the resignation?
When Councillor McQueenie's attendance at this meeting, the answer is no, Councillor
Thank
Walker.
you. And how much did council pay for Mr Paul West for the mediation between myself and Councillor McQueenie, bearing in mind this was instigated by Councillor McQueenie?
Through you, Madam Mayor, that particularly have numbers of invoices from River Road Consulting, West Works. The particular invoice for that I haven't been able to distinguish.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you. Councillor Edwards.
I have one question and two statements in the next section.
Statements can be in the next one at 11.2.
Yep.
But if you have a question at the moment.
Well, it was, Councillor Walker has covered a lot of what I was going to ask, because I've had a number of community members ask about Councillor McQueenie's resignation, what was happening, that she was given the grace of the council to make a heartfelt statement, which was well received. Is she following through with the commitment or not?
Councillor McQueenie, do you wish to answer that question?
I've intended, well, in the statement, which is when I've intended to make a statement. I have intended all along to make a statement in the statement section,
Okay,
so I should be doing that
Thank
there.
you. We'll leave it at that. Any other questions from councillors? We'll move on
Yes.
to. Yes, sorry.
Sorry, I've had a number of queries from people in Jetty Road who would like clarification as to why the entire road, rather than problematic if there are residences, have received advice that the entire road is subject to a new arrangement rather than other roads, or in fact problem areas within that.
You're talking about the rubbish bins?
Yeah.
Yes.
Through you, Madam Mayor, as I provided advice to particular property owners who wrote it into me about that, where there are ongoing issues with particular areas, and Jetty Road is an area where there's been particular ongoing issues. I've seen numerous photographs of bins that are left over. It's not a new arrangement. It's the same arrangement that applies to all of the council area with regard to putting bins out. Where we get, and whatever the types of complaints that we might get, whether it be for bins or whether it be for a range of other things, we will take action that is appropriate in those instances to endeavour to get compliance with the reasonable requirements of council and apply across the council area.
So just that issue of if there are particular bins and photographs up, have they been identified to particular properties who are being spoken to, rather than, this is the question, rather than the whole road. And I live nearby, I wasn't aware of this until it came out. I don't go through that part of it, but lots of people have come to me and asked, why is it the whole road? If there are problems, why aren't those properties being approached rather than all of us being?
So through you, Mayor, the problem is not, the problem relates to a number of properties, and in some instances it's not easy to identify which property that bin relates to because it's laying over on its side in between properties. So the issue relates to that area. We've sent notices to everybody in that area.
Okay. Councillor McQueen, if I might just add to that, in defence of our rubbish contractors, and I'm not sure I really want to defend them. However, my red bin regularly ends up on my next door neighbour's property. They pick it up, empty it, and drop it at my next door neighbour. Any other questions? Nothing? Sorry, Councillor Churchill.
Probably this is sort of a question, but it's also sort of a comment. I just wanted to make a.
So can I just clarify? Have you got a question, or would you prefer to do it in 11.2?
I can leave it actually. I'll put it into 11.2. It probably works better.
Works better there. Okay, works for me. All right. So we'll move on to 11.2. Councillor Edwards, then Councillor Young, then Councillor Churchill.
Firstly, I'd like to thank the members of the Orford and Tribunal community who responded to the Air Services Australia proposal to put the flight path down Mercury Passage. There was about 33 or 35 representations went in, and I'd also like to thank Air Services Australia for seeing common sense and doing away with the idea of flying down that part of the coast and looking at alternative routes. I think it's been a good result for the community and a good result for Air Services Australia to shows that they actually do listen. I will say it is the one thing which I've got more abuse about than anything as a councillor, being told that I'm a NIMBY and this, that and the other thing, which is incredibly interesting. And some of the people who've told me I'm a NIMBY were not on the TV supporting Tassal as I was in the early days. But behind the scenes, they were telling me how much they supported things. So I rather disappoints me to be called a NIMBY because that is the last damn thing that I am. But anyway, I'll move on from that very quickly. It's a good result, and it's something which I think we can move on. The planes will not be annoying us.
I think it probably demonstrates good consultation or community consultation on the part of Air Services.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they listened.
When we woke them up that we needed consultation.
Yeah, agreed, but they still listened.
Yeah.
Councillor Young, you had a comment or a statement?
Oh, sorry, I had part two.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Councillor Edwards had two. Councillor Young.
I've had a number of local developers, and I've had a discussion with Acting GM Porch about this, and I very much understand both sides of the fence because I don't think I'm giving away any information. Mr. Porch has been charged this same thing in his defence. The green open space charge, which applies to anybody who's cutting a little bit of a block off the back of their place to put a little unit on or anything else. I was talking to one fella who's 3 1 hectare blocks. He cut off his property, 30 grand thereabouts, green open space charge. The same fellow was looking at doing a number of other 9 units in Tribunal, is now canned it. I was speaking to another person who is quite a serious developer in this town, and he's about had enough too. We're going to have to be very, very careful of how we tread. As I often say, we bleat on about affordable housing, and some people seem to have the opinion that developers are evil. God help us without them, because they're the ones who provide the housing for the people, for anybody who's trying to get into the market. If we don't have developers, we don't have houses. And every cost we put on top of them puts the cost of the block up. On the other hand, I understand why the charge is there. So I'm not having a go at the council, but it's something we're going to have to be very, very aware of going forward. And I think any chance we have to cut the cost on people trying to develop blocks, not build it, we need to be severely looking at. That's part two of my statement.
Mr. McQueen, are you okay? Thank you, Robert Young.
Yes,
You, Councillor Young.
Madam Mayor, just a question of roads and danger. At the end of Charles Street, it goes into Wylangton. And I'm told by an elderly lady who's quite ill that she's frightened to cross the road down at the bottom there. It's round about Walpole Street, and the vehicles come down Wylangton Road at high speed and cut the corner, and it's positively dangerous. Now, this lady is younger than me, but it doesn't stop her being elderly, and she's not in good condition, and she's worried that people will get run over there. Now, I'm not sure what council can do about it. Maybe Mr. Porch could look at it and possibly not only put a big sign, but a road or a speed hump to stop the speeding. It'll be annoying for many, and those with Lamborghinis that try and belt down there, they'll leave part of their car on the road, but it might be the only way to reduce the speed.
Councillor Young, I can tell you unequivocally, if I owned a Lamborghini, I would not be taking it on W Road.
Could I add to that comment, or is that allowable?
No, that's okay. Mr. Porch, would you like, you'll take that on board?
Well, I just wanted to take it on board and not
Yeah.
make a comment about
Thank
it.
you. Councillor Churchill, I had you down to speak.
Yes, I just wanted to make the point that with all of the concerns that there's been around the loo with the view and the adjacent sick tree to the east of it, we've hammered it enough in this meeting. I just wanted to make the point in this part of the meeting so that anybody from the community viewing it can see that that the General Manager and Council have given this reasonable discussion. The consideration for it is still ongoing, and while some members of the community may not be happy with the outcomes of that, they still have a right to bring that to Council if they so wish. I've been fielding a few questions and comments to the best of my ability. I'm not an arborist and I'm not an engineer. I can have views and opinions on all of that, but I just want people to know that it is being considered, and at the moment it's quite a hot issue for Swansea, and I guess being one of the two councillors up there, I've been getting half of the flag. I also wanted to make a quick statement, if I may.
I can tell you unequivocally, Councillor Churchill, that others have been copying the flak too, to use your term.
I'll share it around a little bit. I just wanted to make a very short statement. At the ordinary council meeting of May this year, Councillor McQueenie spoke of her concerns around a decision of council from the meeting of February, and she offered her apology to those people of this community and the broader community who may have been negatively impacted by decision 2533, now rescinded. I too wish to apologise to those who have been caused distress by that decision of council. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else, Councillor Gregson?
I'd just like to make a statement, please. Pursuant to
Sorry.
Apologies, everyone.
No, you're right, Councillor.
Pursuant to Councillor McQueenie's apology at the May 2025 Ordinary Council meeting, I too would like to apologise to the people who have not been heard, to the people who have been misrepresented, to the people who have been silenced and live with their experiences every day, the people who have been denied representation, to the people who have not been believed, to the people who have been blamed. I humbly tender my apology with sincerity and compassion with a belief and a desire the aforementioned peoples, plus the neglected and forgotten, will never walk alone. Thank you.
Councillor McQueenie, you have a statement.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor.
Are you right? Are you?
Yeah, I'm tired. Just to flag that, I had intended, excuse me, to make a statement at this meeting, because it will be a surprise to some while I'm here. Since indicating that I would be leaving, with every intention, I have had numerous people come up and ask me to reconsider. I also note, to those who may or may not have had any reference to apologies, the ones made today now by Councillor Churchill and Councillor Gregson, and in the context of what people have shared and asked me to do, and a sense that the concerns I had are shared by others, I have decided to stay.
Thank you. There's no further comments or statements. I'll move on. Agenda item 12 is the confidential items. In accordance with the requirements of the Local Government Meeting Procedures Regulation 2025, I declare the meeting closed to the public to discuss the following matters. Item 1.1, requests for leave of absence. Item 1.2, notification of leave of absence for parental leave. Item 2.1, minutes of the closed session of the ordinary council meeting held on the 24th of June. Item 3.1, code of conduct investigation outcome. Item 3.2, best funding submission. And item 4.1, councillor question time. Recommendation is the council move into closed session. Do I have a motion? Thank you, councillor Walker.
Thank you. I move that council moves into closed session at 3:57.
3:57. Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor McQueenie, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Mrs. Kerr, just be aware, Mrs.